Hello, everyone. We're now learning Parshat Pinchas. Parshat Pinchas. It continues the story, the saga of Pinchas ben Elazar ben Aaron, a Cohen. They stood up and saved all the Jewish people. There was a terrible plague, and it was about to kill all the Jews because they had done these two terrible sins. The men had relations with the daughters of Moab, the daughters of Midian. And together with that, they also worshiped the idols that the daughters of Midian carried with themselves. We talked about it last week. So that's what Pinchas did. Now he's going to get his reward. Vaydaber Hashem al Moshe lemor. God said to Moshe, spoke to Moshe saying, Pinchas ben Elazar ben Aaron a Cohen. Pinchas, the son of Elazar, the son of Aaron, the Cohen, Heshiv et Chamoti. He turned back my anger. Me'al b'nei Israel, on the Jewish people. Now remember what happened, right? Jewish people were sitting with these non-Jewish women and worshiping idols. And the head of the tribe of Shimon, whose name was Zimri, he took a Midianite woman, who you're going to see that she was of royalty. She was like the princess. And he had relations with her in front of Moshe and everybody. And temporarily, Moses didn't know what to do. And Pinchas jumped in and he said, I remember what to do. The law, it's a law that says that anyone who wants to in such a case can take matters into his own hands. If you ask a court, they'll tell you that that's what they'll tell you. Anyone who wants to can take matters into their hands, that they can't do anything. So he stabbed both of them with a long spear, and he lifted them both up. They were at the end of the spear, and he stabbed them exactly in their genitals as they were joined together, and lifted them up to show everybody what was wrong, what they were doing wrong. And everybody understood from this big miracle that it brought everybody back to their senses. Because of this, now Pinchas also risked his life because he killed the head of the tribe of Shimon. And Shimon, they were big warriors, and they were enjoying it with these ladies. And he killed their so you'd think that they were all fired up, and that now was the time that they would kill him. He was taking, but he didn't take any of that into consideration. He just wanted to stop the sinning, and he wanted to stop the Jewish people from dying. So that's what he says, Kinosi, that he took my jealousy, he's jealous for my jealousy. But Lokilitet ben Israel didn't destroy the Jewish people in my anger. Rashi. Pinchas ben Elazar, because the tribes were all shaming him. Heritam ben Puti, look at this Puti, that he pitem et imo agolim lavodas elilim. What happened over here? It says, if you look in Parshas Va'era, it talks about the family tree. And it says that Aaron, he had 2 sons. He had 4 sons. Elazar, Itamar, Nadav and Avihu. Elazar, he gets married, it says one of the Benot Putiel. He got married to one of the Benot Putiel. That was a relative of Yisro. Yisro, like Moses did. Moses got married to his wife, that she was the daughter of Yitro. She got married to daughters, and Elazar did the same. He got married to one of the relatives of Yitro. So Yitro, he was an idolater, and Yitro, he fattened up calves for idolatry. And the Rebbe explains what does this mean? It means, what does it mean, fattened up? Pinchas just finished killing the head of the tribe of Shimon. And everyone was saying, you know why he did it? Because it's in his blood. He's a murderer. He's a cruel person. Where did he get this cruelty from? From his mother's side. She was from Putiel. What did she do? She was a convert, but she converted from Yitro. What did Yitro used to do? He used to fatten up calves. In other words, he would fatten them up as though he really liked them. But he was really not fattening up for themselves. He was fattening up in order to sacrifice them to idolatry. So we see that this is a cruel person. That's what they were saying. So they were mavazim otam. That's what it says. They were making fun of him. Therefore, the Torah comes with Yachso. Therefore, it says no. It's not after his mother. He took his qualities from Aaron. What does it mean for Aaron? That why he killed Zimri was only for my sake. He took my vengeance. He took the anger that I had, that I should have been angry at the Jewish people. And that's what he subdued my anger by taking it on the Jewish people, especially because of risking his life. We look at the BalHaTurim. It says, what did he risk his life for? It says over here, Heishiv et chimoti me'al, says gematria. This is the numerical value. Zehu. This is a malach, the angel of af v'shalchema, of anger and wrath. It says bekinos kinosi. It says tagin al hakuf. If you look in the Torah, you'll see it says over here. Kina, there's little lines on the top, like little letter Zion on the top. And here it says 3 times Kina. Kina is Kinasi, will be Kinasi. 3 times Kina, anger 3 times. Why? Says the BalHaTurim. Why? It says Gimel Pamim Kina, 3 times Kina corresponding to the 3 sins the Jewish people sinned. Namely, what? First of all, they had relations with these non-Jewish women. And they bowed down to their idols. And they connected to the idols. They enjoyed it. Just a little bit more here. We have the OrHaChaim Kadosh. He says, Heshiv et Heshiv. This tells you to know that very good. Okay. Shalom Herschel says Shalom. So what does it mean that Pinchas turned back God's anger? Turned back God's anger. Says the OrHaChaim, Rabbi Chaim ben Attar. This lets you know, Ulai Sheba Lomar Shalo Yachshov, you shouldn't think that God, he turned back his anger below Emtsaut Zechut Asher Kipa Midas Adin. You might think that God just decided, okay, enough, he killed enough Jews, enough 24,000 is enough. So it says, Yotzei Mizeh comes out, Sheyachshav Moshe Ki Hashem mitnaheg b'seder zeh, that sometimes God does this. He gets mad and then he stops. There it comes to tell you that no, that's not what it was at all. Pinchas hu sheyasiv b'seshiv, that God wanted to destroy everybody. And Pinchas, he jumped in and he stopped God's wrath. V'omar heshiv et chamoti, that Pinchas, he returned back my anger. Below me'atzma, it didn't stop on its own. We have also Dad Zakanim, Pinchas ben Elazar. In other words, to let you know, she'ein lahem l'sanot, you shouldn't hate Pinchas because he killed Zimri. Shari al yedei kein heshiv et chamoti me'aleim, that you shouldn't hate. If it wouldn't have been for Pinchas, you would all be dead. Therefore, don't be angry at Pinchas that he killed your relatives. Because if it wasn't for Pinchas, there would be nobody to mourn the relatives. It would have killed everybody. God would have, because I would have destroyed all of it. Therefore, I'm giving him a covenant of peace. If you look at the word peace, it's written here with a vav. It means shalom. It's written with a vav that's broken in the middle. If you look in the Sefer Torah, how it's written, it says it's a vav katua. It's broken. My covenant of peace. Let's see. The BalHaTurim says like this. It says my British shalom, but the vav is cut, so it comes out shalim. It's really written. Vahu vav katia. It is a vav which is broken. In the Gemara, Parak Gimel of Kedushin, it's broken. Okay. Davar acher, another. Matana shlema ani noten. Et briti shalom. I give him a whole total gift. Yud matnot, 10 gifts in the Mikdash and 10 in the Medina. Remember, there were the 24 Matanat Kahuna that he got. So there's 10 of them were in the Holy Temple. He got like the parts of the animals and the skins, etc., of the sacrifices. And there were 10 in the Medina, right? He gets the money from the firstborn, he gets Zeroah BalHaChaim. Why 10 with them? Because Yud, when it's filled up, Yud Vav Dalid, when it's filled up, it's Milo Gimel. When it's broken, it's like Yud and then a Vav underneath. So that's like it's filled up. It's hinting at the word Yud. When you fill it up, it comes out to be the gematria of 20. Yud is 10, and Vav and Dalid is 6 and 4. It's another 10. Davar acher, another Vav Katia, because Pinchas is Elijah the prophet. It says that Pinchas is Eliyahu the prophet. The Rebbe explains this also, that he explains, Elijah the prophet came about 600 years after Pinchas did. Pinchas, he came, this is right before the Jews went into Israel. And Elijah the prophet, he was like in the middle of the first temple, which was about 600 years after the Jewish people entered the land of Israel, 650. So it says Pinchas is Eliyahu. So how can it be Pinchas is Eliyahu? Eliyahu hadn't been born yet. So the Rebbe explains that there's an neshama, there's a soul which is called Eliyahu, and it comes into people that are self-sacrificing and helps them. So Pinchas, inside of Pinchas is Eliyahu. But in any case, Eliyahu is the one that's going to announce the future redemption. And Eliyahu is sometimes written in the Torah, it's written Eliyah. That's what's written. It's written like that. Eliyahu Hanavi. And there's no vav in the end. There's no vav in the end. Right? Eliyah. That's how it's written. Chaser vav. It's mixing a vav. Missing a vav. Sometimes the word Yaakov is written with a vav. Yaakov. With a vav. That Yaakov took the vav from Eliyahu, Elijah the prophet, as a mashkon, as a surety, until he will come with the Mashiach. That Eliyahu, he made Eliyahu promise, if you don't, you have to come to announce the Mashiach. If you don't come announce the Mashiach, I'm not giving the vav back. V'yigalal et banav. And who is this Elijah the prophet is going to come? It's in the merit of Pinchas. So therefore, Pinchas, he has the Yud, like Eliyah, and the Vav, which is showing on because the Vav is cut. Mashiach v'yigal is what? He will redeem the Jewish people. V'yigal Yaakov Yismach Yisrael. That's what it means. Yagil Yaakov Yismach Yisrael. What does it mean? Yismach are the letters Mashiach. Yismach is Mashiach. She Yismach liyamot Mashiach. That Elijah the prophet will be happy in the days of the Mashiach when he gets the letter Vav back from his name, and then Eliyahu will be complete. Also, it says it Bristi Shalom. Shalom is the gematria Zeh Mashiach. Okay. Sforno, he says, what does it mean, my Brit Shalom? Briti Shalom, he gave him a complete gift of peace. What does it mean, a peace? Peace from the angel of death. Like God, it says he makes peace among the angels above. I have said, Lo Yikra Ella Besibas Hitnagdut Hafchit. Pinchas, because he risked his life, so therefore he flirted with death, so he defeated death, and he lived a long time. Mikol Sharon Shiador, more than any other people in his generation. Ad Shiahu Mishamesh b'Mishkan Shiloh. Hey, actually, it says that he served in the Mishkan of Shiloh. Right, until the first temple was until the first temple was built, that was like 440 years after Pinchas killed Zimri. As in that time, and when Pinchas killed Zimri, he was already, however old he was, right? He wasn't a child. So in the middle of the first temple, in the middle of a Shiloh, which that was in that 440 years, that was most of the 440 years. As he served, that was in the time of the Pilegish of Giva. A whole story about Shevet Binyamin, that they raped a lady, a terrible thing. This is after the death of Yeshua and all the others came in, that they had a long life after Yeshua. How much more so he was in the time of Yiftach. Yiftach, that says the Melech B'nai Ammon, Shavas B'nai Yisrael B'cheshbon B'nosav, at least he lived at least 300 years. So the Pinchas didn't want to go to Yiftach, etc. Okay, so and then it comes out that Eliyahu was still alive. It means that Elijah the prophet, not only did he get a gift of to be a Cohen, which he was not a Cohen, but he got a gift to be a Cohen, as he also got a gift of long life. He and his sons afterwards, they became Kohanim, because he was jealous for God, and he brought forgiveness for the Jewish people. So what does it mean, a Kohen? You can't make somebody into a Kohen. Either it's like making somebody into a tree. In America now, they want to try to pretend that a man can be a woman can be a man. Well, I mean, that's of course ridiculous. It's just as ridiculous to say that a not Kohen can be a Kohen. Someone whose father is a Kohen, and of course his mother has to be Jewish, but his father was a Kohen, and a proper Cohen, we're talking about this, then he's a Cohen. Now, when was the Kohanim? When was it decided that they were going to be Kohanim? Originally, it was supposed to be that the firstborn, they were the ones that were going to serve in the temple, not the Kohanim, not Aaron. But when they worshipped the golden calf, so God took it away from them, and he gave it to Aaron and his sons. Anyone who was alive at that time, when from Aaron and his children afterwards, anyone who was alive at that time that Aaron was chosen was not a Cohen. Only Aaron was Cohen, and only the people that came after him. So it says, even though the Kavar Nitna Kohanim, even though that the Kohanim was given to Aaron's children, and he was one of the sons of Aaron, he came from Aaron, but it was only given to those children that were the sons of Aaron that were anointed with him, and the people that were born afterwards. But Pinchas, he was born beforehand. Therefore, he was not anointed to be a Cohen. Lo bo l'klal kahuna, he wasn't a Cohen at all until now. He was a Levite. The Kenshin, this is what we learned in Zvachim. But as soon as he killed Zimri, as he got because he killed somebody, so he got a covenant of the opposite of death, of peace. He became a Cohen to bless the people. Be for the sake of God. He said he got. It was for the sake of God. So the name of the Jewish man that he killed, that Pinchas killed, was that he got smitten with the Midianite woman. That was Zimri ben Salu. What do we care what his name was? Because he was the chief of the whole tribe of Shimon. Rashi says, Kashem sheyachas tzadik, just like a righteous person is, we tell about his merits. Also about an evil person, we talk about his disgrace. So him and his father has disgraced the whole. Nasi Beisav says he's one of the 5 heads of the 5 tribes of Shimon. Or another, that's one of the meanings. Another meaning is Lodia Shivcho Shel Pinchas. It comes to tell you the praises of Pinchas, that even though that this was a leader, but he didn't stop himself milakane lechilul Hashem, from taking revenge on the disgrace of God's name. Therefore, it comes to tell you who it was that was smitten. As he was a leader of the tribe, and Shimon, they were big warriors, but nevertheless, he just saw that someone was disgracing God's name in public, and he let him have it. Don't try this at home. But that in fact was the law. The name of the woman was the Midianese Kozbi Bas Tzur. The woman that he sinned with, that Zimri sinned with, her name was Kozbi. She was the head, Bas Tzur. Who was Tzur? Tzur was the head of the nation of Midian. Rashi says, this comes to tell you how much the Midianites hated the Jews. Now Yisrael, he came from Midian, right? But they hated Yitro also. The Midianites, they actually, Hifkiru Bat Melech, they actually took the daughter, a princess, the daughter of the king, and they made her into a prostitute, or just in order to make the Jewish people sin. Rosh Mot, one of the 5 kings of Midian. It says over there, and later on it says, as Ovay, Ves Rekem, Ves Tzur, etc. It says who they destroyed, the Jewish people. And he was the most important of all of them, this Tzur. He was the most important. He was the Rosh Mot. Shenag Bizion Ba'atzma L'Hafkir Bito, because he was like the first one to say, oh, you can have my daughter, make her into a prostitute. So he said, no. So he was the most important of all of them. But I'm sorry, not like I said, but because he disgraced himself to give his daughter, to immediately give his daughter, so they only counted in number 3 over here. It says as Aviv, as Rekam, as Tzur. He was counted number 3, but really he was the most important of all of them. I'd like to do more, but okay. Yeah. Attack the Midianites. And smite them. Because that's what they did to you. They attacked you. In the sin that they made you sin, they lowered you down. Al Davar Pa'or, because of Pa'or, right? Pa'or was the idol that the women of Midian, or the Moab, daughters of Moab, that they carried with them, and they made the Jewish people sin. Al Davar Kozbi Bas Nasi, and also Kozbi, the daughter of Nasi, So because they sinned with the Jewish women, with the non-Jewish women, and because they also sinned with idolatry, so who was the one that made this whole business up? That was the Midianites. Because they hifkirut banotem, because they let their daughters go into this prostitution, loose, to be loose like that, decadence, and also, but what about Moab? What about the daughters of Moab? I thought that it says the daughters of Moab, they were the ones that did it. It says no, he didn't command them to attack Moab. Nipene Ruth, because Ruth was going to come out of them, like it says in Baba Kama. Ruth was eventually going to come out. She was Ruth of Moaviyah, and from her, she would convert, and she would give birth to eventually to King David, to Ovid and to Yishai, and eventually King David came first. So because of that was going to come from Ruth, God saw that eventually Ruth from her was going to come out just hundreds of years later. That therefore they didn't kill Moab. They didn't make a war against Moab. And Hashem said to Moshe and to Aaron, Bnei Cohen, said, so take the number of the Jewish people from 20 years up and older, all the people. Why? It says, why? Al Shevet Ha'av Yechasu. Why did they take the number of the Jewish people? Because after the war, so they wanted to know how many Jewish people there were. Each time there was any trouble, from 20 years up and older, just like God commanded the Jewish people that went out of Egypt. Rashi says, She'eim minyanam, we wanted to count them from 20 years and up, like it says, Kala over ala pekudim, like it says, all of those who were counted to go to war, those were the ones that were counted. So we see that Pinchas gets this amazing gift of being a Cohen, which according to logic he didn't deserve, but he did it because of his tremendous self-sacrifice. And that self-sacrifice is exactly what is going to bring Mashiach. This is also connected to this week with the self-sacrifice of the previous Lubavitcher Rebbe as well, as we'll talk about, God willing, more tomorrow. Now let's do a couple of Pirkei Avot.